I'm swinging a little too much, oh my god. Greetings, friends. I'm joined with you today in my hammock with this little friend. It needs a name. It has a hole for your arm, which makes it an ideal hammock pillow. Yep, good stuff. Anyway, happy Hobbit summer, everyone. I'm back with another crafting collab, similar to the one I did with Skilltree. This time I will be making something for Honey Sword Cosplay, which you probably know her well from my content. We collab pretty frequently, despite living very, very far away. And I'm really excited because the Brandywine Festival, the official Lord of the Rings Hobbit LARP coming up in October in Kentucky, is going to be Cait's first ever LARP. So I really wanted to make her something special. So Cait and I had a little phone call. We got to chatting about what she's looking forward to, going into her first LARP, what kind of things she might want to have, all the good stuff, and I have come up with a plan. Just like last time, this gift will be a surprise, so she does not know what I'm making for her. She's also making me something on her channel, which I do not know what she is making me. So we will have to find that out together later. The plan that I came up with was, first of all, since she has never been to a LARP before, I thought having a pouch that can attach to your belt for your silverware is a must. That's something that came in very handy at my first LARP and something that I use all the time. So that was one thing that immediately came to mind. But also, Cait mentioned not feeling super confident in staying in character, so I wanted to provide her with something that she could kind of fall back on as like a prop to interact with. If she felt like she needed to have a tangible thing to keep her in character. So Cait's character's name is Honeyburrow, and she is a beekeeper. She's obsessed with learning about flowers and figuring out which ones the bees like, and collecting and growing specimens to help them produce the best honey possible. So because of this, I thought, well, what about a book of pressed flowers? I wanted to do that, but I didn't want it to be real pressed flowers because they are very brittle, and with like a LARP prop that's being interacted with a lot and is going through it basically an entire camping week with you, it needs to be a lot more sturdy. So that is something that I had to figure out. But then I also wanted to provide her with like a little flower pressing kit so that she could potentially find more at the event or add more to the book later on her own time. And so that is the general idea of what we will be making today. So I'm gonna take you along for the ride. Let's begin. I ordered this journal online. I will leave a link for it in the description. I was very pleased with the quality of it. I love that it already has the pages looking a little bit weathered. I was a little worried I was going to have to make a journal myself, and I was already short on time, so I was really happy that this came and looked really nice. The front was a little plain, so I got out my laser engraving machine and I plugged it into my laptop to make something to go on the front. Using Canva, I designed this little medallion with her name, a bee, and some flowers, and exported it as an SVG file, which is compatible with this machine. Once I made sure the area I was working in was well ventilated, I was ready to turn it on and get a scrap piece of leather in there. I'm using a 5-ounce veg tan leather that I'm just taping in with painter's tape so it doesn't move around. And after a few tries, I finally got the laser aligned in a spot where it wasn't going to overlap with anything, and I think it came out really cute. This is what the finished medallion looks like that I will be putting on the front of the journal, and using some wood, I cut out 2 other items that I will be using later in the video for 2 other pieces. To further customize the journal, I decided to add some stamps into the leather, and I picked up these 2 really cute ones, one for the edge and one which is a honeycomb shape, and I thought that fit the beekeeper vibe perfectly. This leather was very thin and obviously already had a dye treatment on it, so it wasn't taking the stamps super well, but I did my best to stamp them in and just at least make it look a little more customized, and I think it ended up working even if it's not perfect.
Once that was finished, I took a little bit of my green EcoFlow dye and just watered it down a little bit to give it a green tint. Though I don't think it was completely necessary, I did rough it up with a razor a bit just because it was so smooth. I didn't want it to not adhere. But once that was done, I just took some of this contact cement, put some on the journal as well as on the medallion, and I just used a little piece of wood and a clamp to make sure it was secure while it was drying. In some of the photos on her Pinterest board, I noticed that there were maps, which I thought would be a fun thing to include. So I got this map of the Shire, turned down the opacity really low, and then I went to my printer, put in this piece of aged looking printer paper, and just printed it out so I had a good outline. I wanted it to be accurate, but I also wanted it to be handmade, which is why I decided to go with the printer method. But basically, I just took it down to my desk and I started filling in all of the words first with a pen. With all of the words filled in, it was time to move on to some of the landmarks. There were many hills, which makes perfect sense as it is the Shire. And as well as hills, there were a lot of forested areas with these little trees. And this took the longest for sure, because you have to kind of draw in every tree individually. I decided to extend it over on the side of the map where it wasn't printed, which you will see later was completely unnecessary, but it's the thought that counts. Once all the words and landmarks were done, I just took some blue acrylic paint to fill in all of the rivers, and then I got some red acrylic paint to fill in all of the roads. That way they were very discernible from each other. Once the map was completely filled out, I was able to kind of start weathering it, which honestly feels completely illegal after I just spent so much time on it, but I tore up the edges, which is where I lost the forested area that I did not need to fill in, but that's okay, we do it for the vibes. Then came the most illegal feeling step of all. This hurt a little. But it gives a great effect, so I'd say overall worth it. Because I wanted this to be a part of the journal and not something that could get lost or fall out, I decided to glue it to the front page. So I found where I wanted to secure it and folded it in a way that I thought would be nice to open inside of the book. And then I labeled it as a map of the Shire, just so it didn't look too plain sitting in there. I want this journal to be really sturdy, so I'm using super glue for the inside of this, just kind of pressing it down, folding it up, and making sure I like where it sits. I also decided to add a little note that says if this journal gets lost, to return it to Honeyborough, which I thought was kind of fun. I really like how it came out and it opens really nicely. I was a little worried the super glue would bleed through the paper. It's not that noticeable though, you can see it a bit, but if anything, I think it just adds to kind of the aged, worn look of the map, so it works for me. Having a physical item with information or pictures that you can fall back on to show people or talk about or just look at when you're feeling a little overwhelmed is really helpful. So to do this, I actually pretended to be Honeyborough myself, and I drew a bunch of flowers in this journal. I actually looked up a lot of facts about them, like what zones they grow well in, where she personally finds them, pollen levels, and how she can get them to help her bees. I actually had a lot of fun learning about different flowers, and this is something I might incorporate into one of my own LARP characters' backstories, just because I think it's a really fun item. Once I was finished with the drawings and the information, I got some fake flowers and I used super glue to adhere them to the pages. Some of them already looked like the flowers I was writing about, but others didn't, so I just took some scissors, cut them up, and kind of made my own flower that sort of resembled what I was writing about and drawing. This ended up being really nice actually because I didn't have to buy too many flowers. I even took some acrylic paint watered down and painted over some of them to match the flowers I was talking about better, and it worked just fine. Using some scrap fabric from my stash, I decided to make just a simple drawstring pouch for silverware. I have a better tutorial about this in my last dollar store DIY video, but if you guys want me to make a dedicated video about this, let me know because they're super simple and they make great accessories for LARP as well as Ren fairs. I added some of my leftover flower pieces to just make little bookmarks that stick out purely for cuteness, but I think that that's maybe the most important thing. This feather pen is another thing from my dollar store DIY video. It was a bit long, so I just ended up trimming it with some scissors because I wanted it to tuck into the book nicely, and it was just sticking out a little too much. Another item I picked up for this was a tiny little flower press, which I will also link below for you. I decided to include a little flower from my yard, it's a forget-me-not, as a secret surprise. But once I got it all set up and ready to go, I thought it needed some more personalization, so with my laser engraver, I made this file, which is a little honey pot with a flower and a bee on it to go on top. I'm using that same contact cement from earlier and just clamping it down to dry. This is the final part of the project, and it ended up being one of my favorite parts. I just completely winged it, but I cut up an old tote bag that I had laying around, and I just measured it out to fit the journal as well as the flower press so that it could hook onto her belt and keep it all secure in one place. This is another item I think might be a fun future video, so if you'd like to see that, please let me know in the comments. It fits everything so perfectly. I'm really pleased with how this came out. And, she's finally finished. I love it. I love it so much. I am joined here today with my assistant, Cinder, who only wants affection when I'm busy. But here's the final result. I think it came out adorably, and I kind of want it for myself, but it doesn't suit my character, so it's fine. It's fine. I made these 2 extra pieces because I don't know when to stop. This is a little jar I filled with some yellow resin and lavender to look like honey, and this is from the laser engraver, a bee with her name on it, a little keychain. This is how the cutlery pouch came out. I thrifted these very cute vintage utensils to go in there for her. It's very simple, but I think it gets the job done, and the most important thing is it hooks onto your belt, which is completely necessary at a LARP, because if it's not on me, it's probably gone. The flower press goes in this little front pocket, and it also hangs off of the strap so it doesn't get lost if it falls out. I wanted to make sure the little bag was able to be attached to your belt, but also was able to come off easily so you could get out all of the stuff you need. I think the leaves and flowers really add to it, even if they are completely unnecessary. And once you open the book, you've got your little map. Here is a quick flip through of all of the pages I filled with flowers and information, and I left the rest of the pages for her at the event. Lastly, we need our pen if we're going to be taking field notes, so it just slips right into the front of the straps here, and everything goes right back into its little cozy place.
Overall, I am super pleased with how everything came out, and some exciting news. I thought I was going to have to ship this to Cait, but turns out Cait is actually coming to visit, so I had to speed up my crafting process just a little bit to make sure I finished it in time, but I actually get to give it to her in person. I'm excited because I have no idea what she made me, so yeah. Cinder is also excited to know what she made for me. So now it's time for the official gift exchange. That's right. Let's do it. We wore the same shirt on accident.
This video is sponsored by Cat Coven.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Okay, I have your little gift in here for you.
I'm so excited. So just open it.
Just open it up. Just open your up.
Aww. Oh, there's so many things. Ooh. This is cute.
So that is your little silverware pouch.
My silverware pouch.
Because
cute.
you will need one of those at a LARP.
Oh my god, you think of everything.
And it attaches to your belt so you won't lose it.
This is my first LARP ever. And she got me utensils.
Vintage utensils! Yay! Now you can eat all of your many hobbit meals.
Amazing, thank you. This is awesome. Did you make this pouch? Cute.
I made it out of scrap fabric. It was a pillow.
Oh, and it says Honey Burrow.
Yay!
That's so cute. I didn't even think about having to bring stuff like that.
Yeah, at my first LARP, I was the only one out of like 5 people in our group that I was like, I need a pouch for my silverware. We all forgot him one day, and my friend had to eat his salad with his hands. So
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta have your utensils on you.
Cute. Oh, this is why you said that I need a belt. That's adorable.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen one of these before, and I've always wanted one. These are like the little mini flower press books. This is perfect.
There's one little surprise flower in there for you.
Stop.
You can discover later.
Okay, I will. Cute.
And then I made it so it can unhook here.
Yeah.
So that you can get it off your belt easily and like get the stuff out of it.
I love that.
But we don't want anything getting lost.
Aww.
And I made you a little feather pen.
This is so cute. Oh, you made that pen? That is adorable.
All of the flowers and stuff in here are purely for cuteness.
Yeah.
So feel free to remove them if they're annoying.
They're cute. Aww. Oh, the map of the Shire. If lost, please return this journal to Honeyborough. That's so cute. Oh my gosh. Cute.
So it's only a partial map of the Shire because that's all I could find, but I wanted it to be an accurate map. But I figured you can mark like made up places where you find flowers on there.
Oh, that's adorable. I love that.
Keep it in character, you know.
Absolutely. This is so cute. This is something that I have been wanting to make for my character, so like this is perfect.
Yay! Well, when you said you like pressing flowers, I was like...
Yeah, I have books and books and books at my house just full of pressed flowers from my garden.
I didn't want to press real flowers in there because LARP can be kind of hard on items. Yeah. And I didn't want it to like break apart, but...
No, this is cute.
I actually had to look up like facts about all the flowers and like their pollen levels and stuff.
Aww.
So that way if you ever feel like you need something to interact with, like when you maybe don't know what to talk about in character, you can like show people or just like look at it on your own.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I filled out a couple of the pages, but I left most of the book for you.
Beautiful. Yeah, I definitely will use it.
Some of them are funny too because I tried to write it in like your perspectives.
I found them growing by the roadside in Baggin. That's so cute. Aw.
I got to be your character for a while. When
my bees are gonna love this.
Oh,
truly.
Good. I'm so glad.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're
I cannot
welcome.
wait to use this.
Of course. I'm glad you like it. We're gonna go on a hobbit adventure. And if you want to see what Cait made me, I guess you'll just have to watch her video.
Please come over. I would love to have you guys.
Yay! Okay, on to the adventure.
Cool.
just saw a bug jump in here.
Oh no.
My poor guy! Don't know how to help you.
He's probably burnt alive already.
I got him. He's free. Have you ever had one of these?
No, are they just like little weenies?
Mm-hmm. I actually love them. I feel like I'd definitely be a hobbit.
Oh, for sure.
I like being cozy too much.
I've always like wanted to be an elf, like in the Lord of the Rings books and movies and stuff, but deep down my soul knows, girl, you are a hobbit.
I'm short, I got flat feet, I got this hair.
I got cankles for days.
You don't have cankles.
I have cankles.
You don't!
I will insert a photo. I'm gonna insert a photo of my cankles, and we'll see.
She's got cankles and she's proud.
I got hobbit tree trunk legs.
This is my favorite part of the meal. They're just yummy. Look, you have a bee visiting your flowers.
Aww.
Hi, friend. If you were to describe what I made you in one word, what would it be?
Cute.